it's usually kind of what puts people off trying to improve their swimming is actually breathing related, where people feel that they get, you know, half a length, and maybe not even half a length in the pool, and they end up just exhausted out of breath, and people just get frustrated because you've done a lot of running, done a lot of cycling, but you just can't seem to improve your swimming, and people are always like, oh, my technique's really inefficient because I'm not been able to, and that might be true, there might be technique flaws as well, but the reality is that if your breathing isn't right in the water, you're going to really struggle to think about technique, you're going to not even be able to improve technique. So what happens here with a lot of people is they swim by holding their breath, or they try and hold their breath, so they take a breath and then they swim and they gasp for air, and that's usually where they kind of panic and they have to lift their head out of the water to try and get that relaxation or get that breathing kind of under control and get enough air in. It's a bit like the end of a race where you're working as hard as you can, hyperventilating. You can't do it for very long. So in swimming, one of the key limiters for most people, and what's probably holding you back if you struggle to swim the length of the pool non-stop, it's breathing. So one of the things we want to do with breathing is learning to relax. So it's just learning to control our breathing. The same as we do when we cycle, we run, and do any other sport, is we have a certain breathing pattern. In swimming, it's a little bit harder because there's periods where you're under the water. So the first step we need swimmers to be able to do is just to learn to exhale into the water. So the first thing we start with this is just take a nice breath in, and then practice breathing out. Breathe in again, and breathe out. And just that exhalation, you do have to be a little bit forced with it, but it shouldn't be a really hard breath. It's just a release the air. The next stage, we want to do this with our head in the water. So just take a breath in again, and we're going to put our face in the water and we're going to blow out. So breathe in. Now this sounds really easy, it sounds almost obvious, but it's usually a big challenge for people. We've had a lot of people in the pool here just can't even get to that stage. They just physically, when they put their face in the water, they tense up and hold their breath. What will often happen with people is they'll breathe out for a couple of seconds, and then they'll hold their breath, and then they'll come into a gasp. And I'll show you what that usually looks like. So it'll be a... and it's a panic. Now imagine trying to do that while you're swimming. You're just not going to go anywhere quickly, and you're certainly not going to get there for very long. So what we need to practice is just that. And just get comfortable with our head being under the water. And for a lot of people, the first step might be just practicing in a sink or in a basin of water and just doing what I'm doing here, just blowing bubbles, breathing out. Once we can start to do that, we can start to build up to something called sink downs. And I'll show you what we mean with sink downs. Just put my goggles on. So it's the same thing. Okay, what we're going to do is we'll look under the water here. Is we take a nice breath in, and we're going to breathe out. As soon as my head goes under the water, I'm going to start exhaling. You'll see the bubbles come out, and I'm going to keep exhaling until I feel that I've kind of got rid of most of the air in my lungs. Not completely, but mostly got rid of them. So just take a breath in here, and then I'll breathe out. The surface because they need to get that enough air again because they've held that breath. So what was happening there is I was able just to stay relaxed. So I came up and I just had to inhale. It wasn't a massive kind of gasp for breath. It was just a normal breathe in. So we'll just do that one more time. Take a nice breath in. We're going to sink down. So once we've got to that stage, one of the things we want to then focus on is how do we do that moving forward. And kind of the unique things with the pool here is we can do it quite easily because you can just hold on to the bar at the end of the pool here. If you don't have that, if you're in the pool, you can just start by holding on to the side and just practice that face in the water first, gradually building up to being able to sink down. And this is something I would always get people to do, just if they lose the relaxation or if they're really struggling with relaxation, is just being able to stay controlled, stay relaxed. Because if you're relaxed and controlled, it's a lot easier to start thinking in your brain, right, what's my arms doing, what's my legs doing? If your body is just trying to get its next breath, it's not thinking about what your arms or legs doing, it's just trying to get that next air in. So just focus on being relaxed, learning to control the breathing, exhaling into the water. That in itself could improve your swimming drastically. If you're already quite strong and quite fit, then maybe technically you're actually not too bad. But until you improve the breathing, it's going to be difficult to work on anything else. So that's certainly the first step for anybody who's looking to improve their swimming.